we had the double doors chained down to the planter for a severe storm that didn't end up being that severe, thankfully. I need to lift that tongue up a little bit. I know what you're probably all thinking. We pulled the planter out, hooked up a field cultivator, we're probably going to plant, and unfortunately, that's not the case. I really wish it was, but we had another inch of rain the other day. We were pretty close to planting, just not close enough to get anything done. And so, with our new field cultivator not coming in, we gave that one a thorough inspection. That'll have the big 620 horse tractor hooked up to it, and the frame's not in the best shape. We're gonna mark a couple spots, have a professional welder come in, and stitch this thing together so it doesn't fall apart on us.
Is there any on the outside?
On the other side.
I didn't see any.
Why would this one, which is older, be in better condition than that one? Because Jeff drives that one?
Probably.
As much as I wish it wasn't true, time does take its toll on all of us, equipment included. Both of these field cultivators have seen tens of thousands of acres at this point, been jerked around, bounced around, worked in all sorts of varying conditions, pulled up rocks. The tractors on the front aren't getting any older. They seem to get younger and more powerful every day. And these things just were not built to take that much of a horse up front. Imagine this year we put that big 620 horsepower tractor on, which is literally a 30% jump in power. And these field cultivators, or this one that would be pulled by it, would not enjoy that, seeing as it's already showing signs of structural integrity issues. That being said, we are in the preliminary stages of any issues, so a good qualified welder should beef all those spots up. It's not pulled apart. I don't think it'll be an issue. Guess we'll see. Today could most certainly be described as a tale of two different tools. After we stopped by the welding shop in Sigel to book them to repair our field cultivator professionally, we stopped in at I-70 Truck Repair just north of Effingham. Fantastic place, one of the most impressive truck shops I've ever seen, although it is brand new. We brought our troublesome 9200 International that's been having all sorts of automatic transmission problems down here, and they claim to have fixed it. It wasn't wanting to go into gear sometimes when it was in neutral. They said that the inertia brake on the transmission was the problem. From what I gathered, the inertia brake keeps the transmission from spinning when it's in neutral, and that was causing the tractor to not understand on a sensor basis that it was in fact not moving, so it would not shift into gear. We've had this fixed multiple times, so hopefully this is the one. This will be the ultimate test though. We'll take her home. Happy to report, as of right now, there's no issues with the truck, which is a lot further than we've gotten most of the times I've brought it home after it's been repaired or fixed. Didn't really put it through the ringer by any means. It's a pretty simple drive, not a lot of shifting. I spend most of my time in overdrive. So take that with a grain of salt, but I'm feeling pretty confident. then maybe we'll have a reliable transmission in this truck. Speaking of things that are not fixed, this trampoline is on that list. Part of the storm that we anchored down the barn doors for was some straight line winds that were not accounted for. Katie and the kids' trampoline did not survive. As a temporary solution to prevent it from blowing any further, Dad drug it in the barn, but we're gonna have to get it out of the way because I'm not gonna work around this thing for the rest of the summer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sure I've ever met a trampoline that didn't go for a trip eventually. They all seem to lift up and fly away at some point in their life. Looks like Chris and Jeff are working on hauling some more corn over west. We did finish that last bin, and actually off camera one day this week, we did another bin. Looks like the front of his tarp though is ripped completely off, so that's probably gonna need to be replaced, and hopefully with a power tarp. Do you know the front of your tarp is like completely ripped off?
Yes.
What happened to it?
I don't know. It just ripped.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure you knew. Time to take care of some computer geek stuff that I should have done 3 weeks ago. Dad and I put some new batteries in the 8310R. Starts up like a champ now. Put all our new fields in the monitor. Import data, farm setup 2022. Essentially what I've done is gone in, repaired some AB lines on a few of our farms that we weren't satisfied with. I added the new farms and the new steering lines for those. We're going to upload them to this monitor, which is also going to completely wipe off all of the old data, meaning that we'll have a clean slate with everything we need nice and organized. It's complete. Secondly, we're going to do our yearly check to make sure all of our offsets and timings are right. That way we don't have a bunch of gaps from the row shutoffs. I'm going to turn on and off. 0.5, 0.1. Those are correct. Now it's also important to have your tractor and planter set up correctly because the offsets and measurements of the equipment itself are pivotal to using the on and off function because it bases some of this on its calculation for when to shut the planter on and off when you're crossing the in-rows. And I believe those are correct as well. As some of you may be aware, I'm very big on capturing data out in our fields on yields, hybrid performance, all of that jazz. And my dad, bless his heart, is very good at making that difficult for me. One very unfortunate part about John Deere's system, which I don't understand if it's something that can be fixed or not, is that I cannot retroactively go back and split the planter in half on mapping for the purposes of saying one hybrid's on one side and one hybrid's on the other side, which presents a very large hurdle come post-harvest when I'm looking at the yield results. It's hard for me to pinpoint where everything is. Now, I'm not going to ask my dad to stay on top of putting the hybrids in the planter right, typing it all in. I'm just going to ask him not to touch it. He keeps track of everything in his notebook. I can just go in retroactively and say the left half of the planter was a Pioneer number on this field and the right half was a DeKalb number. And then I can run all my analytics. If it was one planter as one whole thing, one hybrid, I can't split it in half. So this is going to make my life a lot easier. Here's my screen documentation, planting corn, not soybeans. Add variety, it's going to say left. I'm having a tough time on this screen right now. Left hybrid. Assign start end on 12, so it's going to be on the left half of the planter. New variety. And looks like we got what we need. That'll make my life much easier. Done with that one. We're gonna do the same tech housekeeping in my tractor, except for the fact that I can do everything on the fly, and not having it completely done is not as much of an issue. It's too early for this much beeping. Okay, I get it. New fields inbound. Turn off settings, 0.8, 0.3. We're good to roll in this planter. We're just at the beginning of the third week of April. I know farmers are starting to get concerned about not being planted and going a little bit stir crazy. Although when you really consider the grand scheme of things, the long-term averages, we usually haven't started planting till about now anyways. People, not just farmers, tend to have a very short memory. We remember last season, we were in and out, finishing up by now, perfect planting season, no stresses. Of course, fall came around and evened that out pretty quickly. That being said, I have looked at the short-term forecast, the 10-day, even the 14-day, and as long as that 1-inch rain we got 2 days ago is the last large accumulation of rainfall, we've got warm temperatures on the horizon, a lot of windy days as well. This ground's gonna dry up really quick, and I would say, mark your calendars, we very well might be planting by the 18th or the 19th of April. Fingers crossed, but I'm very optimistic that it'll happen. Not too much rain in the forecast, a handful of overcast days, some low temperatures going in the next 5 days, some moderate high temperatures, but we look at the further end of the 10-day, highs of 66, 73, 77, and 78. 50% chance of rain that day, but as long as we don't get any big rainfalls here, I'd say by the Wednesday or Thursday, maybe Friday time, we'll be turning dirt. A very strong breeze like we have out here today is helpful for drying out the ground, but it's not near as important as warm ambient temperatures. 50 degrees and windy will do less, in my opinion, than 80 degrees and not windy. The only downside to us getting into mid to late April now, the soil temperatures have warmed up as the average ambient temperatures have slowly crept up, and you can see we're starting to get a lot of weeds out in these fields. In a sense, it looks like we have a pretty cover crop out here on the soybean stubble that will be going into corn. However, that's not on purpose. That's a winter annual called henbit coming up. As of right now, it's not a huge issue. Agronomically speaking, though, it's going to present two issues. First and foremost, that vegetative cover on the ground will retain moisture and not allow it to dry out as quickly. And secondly, when it does dry out, our field cultivators might struggle to get through that if it gets too thick. As the field cultivator makes its way across these large patches of henbit and also some chickweed out there as well, it will really struggle to cut up those weeds. So they'll form very large balls, so to speak, and they'll wrap around the tines of the field cultivator, eventually inhibiting its ability to pull soil through. Of course, that's going to be a big issue, although we can always work it twice. With field costs, though, I'm not sure that we want to do that. We're still in a pretty good spot. If it got much farther along, we'd have some problems. Now, we don't apply any kind of fall chemical ahead of our corn crop. Some people will come in the fall after their soybeans are cut and apply an atrazine and maybe a simazine as well, long-term residual products, and even into early spring, it will keep the winter annuals at bay. We're relying on the old trusty iron though. Fortunately for me though, I do have another project inside that'll keep me out of the wind. Roped into a side quest. We're gonna put this older truck away for storage and hook the automatic newer one up to this trailer. Let's do this. Oh shoot, there's a rain coming across the countryside. Go figure. At least I still got inside work to do. Voila, look at that. It was supposed to fit loosely, but the scraper is a little bit bent, and it's actually worked out in my favor. For the most part, that's just a quality of life addition for me. I've grown tired of having to pack both of these CCS tanks full to the brim with soybeans with my hands. You know, I just don't like getting that seed treatment all over them. It probably is not the best thing for my long-term health. This tool though, and I don't know the actual nomenclature for it, it's what you'd use to clean out the corners on a dump bed on a grain truck. Had it laying around. I should be able to push it over to the sides, no problem. Get these nice and full so I can plant for a long time without having to stop and refill. I'm not a genius, but I don't think I'm gonna be planting anything today, so I'm gonna close this barn up. Sorry everyone, but I was hoping to do a little bit more today, but as is tradition, the weather has really dampened my plans. I'm gonna end the video here. Planting season right around the corner. Appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day everyone. Peace!